So this is probably one of my weirdest stories. I was hanging out in Seattle with a friend of mine, and he showed me this picture of In-N-Out Burger, which is a fast food chain mainly on the West Coast. And it looked so good. I mean, really good. Guys, I'm talking about a double-double with animal fries and a shake. Now, being forward-thinking 17-year-olds, we took a little money out of the spontaneous activity funds that we saved up, and we flew to LA just to get this $3 burger. Not only, and this is not a plug for In-N-Out, but not only was it one of the best burgers that I've had to date, but this was actually one of the most pivotal moments in my life. On the flight back to Seattle, I was sitting next to this guy in a suit, and we were in a brand new aircraft ready to take off. He turns around to me and he goes, "You know, these newer aircraft aren't as tried and true as their older ones." And then he kept on going. He said, "Also, you should drink a lot of water on this flight. The pressurization makes you lose a lot of body fluid." Now, this is really bizarre small talk to make on an airplane with a stranger, but we ended up talking the entire 2-hour flight. Mark, the guy that I was talking to, said that he does consulting and how it's so much better than your standard 9-to-5 desk job. I told him that I also work remotely and a little bit about how I was taking classes at University of Washington, but when I was applying for internships, I wasn't really getting any calls back. After talking with him a little more, Mark was interested in my story, and he ended up helping me start my career. The next day, Mark gave me an opportunity to prove myself, a web development project that his current guy just couldn't really complete. And 15 minutes after he sent me everything he needed to get completed, I fixed everything. I over-delivered, and he hired me on the spot. Mark continued to help me start my career. He told me at the age of 17 that I should start my own consulting company, that it would be a great way to get experience in lots of different industries quickly, and that I'd be able to charge a little more money for my work. It also helped me overcome the instant disqualification issue, where it was really difficult to convince businesses to hire someone under 18. Mark helped me set up a slide deck, and I began getting clients. I was working with a boot company out in Colorado, Mark's food tour company in Seattle, and a wine tour company out of Oregon. I was working non-stop, 8 a.m. to midnight every single day, crisscrossing the country, sleeping on floors and getting the job done. And a little bit of free time too. I was working with opportunities that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to tackle otherwise. I was meeting people that I never thought I'd be exposed to, in places that I never thought I'd ever go. I was loving it. So what happened there? Perfect storm of luck, confidence, and execution. Now, I realize that saying to start a career young, you have to be lucky, is awful, useless advice, so bear with me here. You have to create your own luck. You have to put yourself in positions where people will meet you and be captivated by your story and want to help you. I create my own luck by just traveling places, being super irresponsible, and eventually I end up meeting people that have a need that I can fulfill. Obviously, some people are luckier than others. And you know what? I used to really think that I was trapped. In high school, I was growing up in northeastern Pennsylvania, where there isn't really a tech scene. And I felt so angry that I had all this passion, but I didn't have any opportunities to really explore and branch off. When I was 15, I realized there's really no sense in being angry, right? It wasn't my fault I didn't have any tech opportunities near me, but it was my responsibility to change that. And to be quite honest, at this point, even if I was in a tech environment, I don't think anyone would have given me a shot, because at this point, I looked like that, poster child of a computer geek, right? I mean, you don't see it in this picture, but I was wearing shin-high socks, clothes that don't suit me or fit me. I waited like 2 months in between haircuts. You know what I'm talking about. I like to think that I look a little better now. So, like I said, I took responsibility and I made the change. At the age of 16, I decided to spend my entire summer living on my own in Seattle, Washington, where I took computer science classes at University of Washington. Now, this was the first time that I ever lived on my own. And I was 16, like I said. I remember before I left, my mom, she didn't just give me a hug and a kiss. She yelled at me in perfect New York City Spanglish, "If you come back with tattoos or piercings, I swear to God I won't help you with your tuition." And actually, when I came back home after that trip, I wore fake earrings off the plane, and that was her reaction. I love you, Mama. Okay, so like I said, I was taking computer science classes at University of Washington, and they were taught by a grad student, Zora Fung. Now, this was a lecture of 300 students, and I remember the second lecture of the course mentioned, and if you want to learn about file compression, swing by office hours in 10 minutes. 10 of us showed up, and she started explaining this concept. I noticed that as she continued her explanation, she got excited, right? She was smiling about it, laughing, prodding us to think of issues in her logic so we could learn more. Zora loved computer science and had no problem communicating her passion for it, and it was infectious. That's Zora. She made me take a step back and realize, wait a minute, it's cool to care and to be able to express it. I ended up going to office hours nearly every week, where she'd take me one-on-one, where she'd teach me something new and out of scope of the class. And ultimately, it allowed me to eliminate the fear that I had of expressing my own passion for computer science and to communicate enthusiastically. After that quarter, I felt empowered. For the first time in my life, I felt intelligent. I valued precision, passion, and tact. I felt motivated, and I finally had the confidence to do something with it. Okay, so let's go back to that perfect storm. Luck, confidence, and execution. I was lucky enough to sit next to Mark, who at the time had a need that I could fulfill. I learned how to be confident and how to communicate enthusiastically from Zora. Now, even if I had those two pieces to that puzzle, if I didn't know how to execute, right, or over-deliver, then I would have failed Mark's test, and I wouldn't be talking to all of you today. I think that there's a very important distinguishment to make here between capability and ability. Any computer science major is capable of explaining anything you want to know about computer science. And given a project, they'll probably be able to get you 95% of the way there. But the only people who can say that they're able, those are the people with intense passion for what they do. Those are the people who embody their skill and live life every single day, bringing that skill into their lives. Those are the people who can say that they're able. Now, obviously, the other part of that, the people who are able, they have experience. But that doesn't necessarily only come from having jobs or internships. You know, these people who are super passionate about what they do, they'll look for any unconventional way to get time, to work on projects with friends, or to solve a problem that they're having or that they recognize that someone else is having, or research at their university. There is an unlimited amount of opportunities to truly reach out and get those experiences. There's this amazing monologue by Alec Baldwin about this idea of always be closing. The notion that there are two types of people in the world. The closers are the people who start something, put in all their effort into it, and see it out to completion. Even if they fail, they'll learn from their mistakes and apply that knowledge to other endeavors. The people who don't do that, they're losers. I believe in this so strongly that I got it tattooed on my arm. And believe me, I'm about to get a very angry call from my mother because she just found out I got a tattoo. But it's true. Always be closing. Put in all your effort, learn from your mistakes, and you'll see results in some form. Now, okay, I realize that the tech industry is a lot different from other industries. But I've found that all these little anecdotes, they apply to really anything. When I was working with bootmakers in Colorado, I expected these guys to show up in the morning, do their line work, and go home, right? Like any other job. But what I found was an intense amount of passion. They'd show up at 8 a.m., they'd cut, sew, shape, and last leather into these gorgeous leather boots. And in the meantime, they'd be laughing with each other, they'd be dancing to music, inside jokes, they'd grill at lunchtime together, they'd hang out on the weekends and after work. You're not looking at a company here. You're looking at a group of people that loved each other and what they did. Now, these people didn't make a great amount of money, and most of them never finished college. They didn't finish college not because they weren't smart enough to, but rather they defined success for themselves in two parts. I will wake up happy every single day, and I will love what I'm doing every single day. And by that definition of success, they are some of the most successful people I know. They didn't follow a path that someone else told them to go down. Now, if I didn't venture out in high school, I would have heard what every other high school kid in America hears. Go be a STEM major in college. It pays the most. Which is great, right? The US is behind in engineering studies. That being said, a very significant portion of our freshman engineering students eventually drop out or change their majors. We're asking our high school students to compare the income of what they want to do, what they love and care about doing, just against what the highest paying jobs are. Think about that for a second. Isn't it obvious what the problem is with that? We're teaching our students at the age of 16 to put a price tag on their happiness. We're teaching them that success equals money. Now, most of us will end up spending 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, 2,000 hours a year doing our jobs. Why are we funneling all these kids path to nearly certain lifelong dissatisfaction? Why isn't happiness factored into their advice? And you know what? I'm guilty of following that path too. I went to college right after high school just because that was the next step, right? My entire life I was told, you need to get a degree to be successful. But halfway through my first semester of college, I flew back out to Seattle where I met up with all my old roommates. And we competed in this hackathon, which is just a 24-hour-long competition where you use programming skills to create something and solve a problem. There I was with some of my favorite people on the planet, in a room locked together 24 hours, where we'd sleep on chairs and solve a problem that we cared about, which at the time was making stock trading information more accessible to the general public. We ended up winning a prize for our work, and we ended up having a small impact on the world. I remember, though, when I got back to Syracuse Airport after that trip, I just felt sad. I pumped the brakes, and I thought about what I was doing. I was paying $38,000 a year for 4 years to get a piece of paper that says to the world, okay, now he's ready to create stuff. I had this realization where I'd be spending the rest of the semester without the resources or the time to have an impact on the world and create stuff. I forgot about what makes me happy. A week later, I got a call back from an aerospace defense company where they said that, hey, you got an internship for the spring semester, which was awesome because I'm a student pilot and my dad was a private pilot and my grandfather worked on the lunar excursion module. So this goes really deep. It was so exciting. And then a week after that, I got a call back from a massive infrastructure and software company. And it was for a final interview. They asked me, okay, so University of Washington, and then you went to Clarkson. Why did you go between the two? I don't think I ever answered that question. My memory, it goes, oh man, have you ever heard of In-N-Out Burger? That burger story was one of the final factors into me landing a full-time software engineering job with tuition assistance at 18 years old. So here's what you should take away from my talk. There's 3 important facets, not just to starting a career young, but for anything. Create your own luck. Exude confidence and be an enthusiastic communicator. And execute consistently, over-deliver. Once you get your platform to prove yourself, slam the gas pedal to the metal. Regardless if it's a significant opportunity or an insignificant opportunity, if you pull it off, it will change your life forever, right? Keeping an idea inside of you makes that idea powerless. Just like how wanting to have that cushy, positive experience, that wanting is a negative experience. You need to take action. Casey Neistat said that if anyone stands in your way, the haters, the doubters, the people that tell you you shouldn't, sure, they may be sitting at the top deck of the Titanic drinking champagne, but you are the iceberg. For the past 5 years of my life, I have felt like I'm racing up a rock climbing wall, blindly thrusting myself upwards until somehow I find that next peg. I've never known where that next peg is. I've never have, and you probably won't either. Sometimes, to find that next peg, you have to thrust yourself higher. But the only way to find that next peg is to surround yourself with people who are extremely passionate about what you care about, but are smarter than you. Chances are they are not on one of those fabled pathways to success either. And their love for their trade will seep into your bones. With all that said, I want to leave you with one final thought. I believe in ghosts. No, not the ghost of Elvis or Christmas past. I believe in the ghosts of ideas. I believe in the lasting impact a person can have on our society through the way that we think or act. We leave ghosts behind everywhere we go, and in this room right now, we're sharing our idea ghosts with each other, and we will not walk out those doors the same as we walked in. Think back. Who were your mentors? Who haunts you? Take a second. Some of mine are Ivan, Mark, Zora, my parents, Mark, all these different people in my life. They haunt me. They've molded me into the person that I am today. I hope that I haunt you too, because I want my ghost to live on in the future. I'll continue living on Earth as long as people use the knowledge that I created and shared to become better people, even long after I have passed away from our own physical plane. Every memory we have was impacted by a ghost. And as long as you, my audience, and anyone you talk to about this presentation lives, I will as well. My name is Gus Naughton, I'm 19, and I'm a software engineer. Thank you.